Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to Fleetwood Trades Crypto. Sorry, this video is not exactly a live stream. I forgot about the YouTube 24-hour waiting period. Once you attempt to start a live stream, or once you get approval to live stream, there's a 24-hour waiting period for some reason. I don't know what that is, or I don't know why that is, but it is. So this video is going to be very raw, very just kind of off the cuff, because it's going to be just a look into a day of my trading. So this is the um, trade locker chart setup. This is how I'm going to enter and exit all my positions. I use trade locker when trading on Funder Pro, and Funder Pro has some really cheap accounts. It's a great prop firm organization, but you can get a $5,000 account for as low as $69 if you use a discount code. Review 15 is a 15% off discount code, so it drops the $5,000 account down to $69 from, I believe, $79. Now, why would you want to use a prop firm? Well, first of all, it's because you're not trading and not using your own capital. You're using $69 of your own money to have $5,000 worth of trading capital. And you also have the ability to use demo accounts, or to do free demo accounts, free trials, so that you can start working on your edge, working on your trading capabilities before you put any money up at all. But the idea is that you preserve some of your capital, so that if you mess up on these smaller accounts, then you can try again without blowing a whole lot of money. If you blow a $5,000 account trading on your own money, that's $5,000 gone. You blow a $5,000 account trading on a funded account, and that is $69 gone. So there's your your on and off, your pros and cons. However, once you start making profit, it is an 80-20 split after the first. You have to make 14% to pass the challenge, and it's going to be, if you do a single leg challenge. So you have a single challenge is 14%, or you have an 8% plus a 5% two-phase challenge. So they're both about the same price. So I just decided I'm always going to do the do it in one shot challenge. So we're going to get right into it. The first thing you're going to look at here, you're going to see the spreads. Now, crypto has some crazy big spreads, and it's unfortunate. It sucks, but that just shows you that crypto is not nearly as liquid as people think it is. These buy and sell spreads are crazy on some of these. So, like, you can see the chart, and like the whole daily candle for dot is very illiquid right now. You're selling here at $6.09, and you're buying at $6.27. So, I mean, that's a massive spread when you're trying to trade and get very pinpoint entry. So dot's out. Like, I'm not going to be able to trade dot today. Surprisingly, basic attention token BAT is very liquid. It's very low spread. It's almost it's down to 12 points now on the spread. So that's actually very easy to see. You go down to the 15-minute chart on dot, and you'll have a very tight entry that you can make if you want to. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't mean that you have to trade tighter windows. It just means that you can, and you don't have to worry about getting stopped out on a move where the spread gets you. And that's one of the biggest things with trading prop firms and trading indices and forex or anything else you trade, is getting caught in the spread. And especially on time frames where the markets aren't super liquid. So that's why I trade either New York Open or London Open from 9:30 a.m. to about 11 a.m. or 2 a.m. to about 5 a.m. Those are my trading windows. I don't do 2 to 5 anymore. I just can't stay up that late anymore. It's not in me to do it. But those are good trading windows for you. So the first thing I'm looking at after the spreads is looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's always going to have a little bit of a spread, but that number is a little bit misleading because of how much because of the decimal points. So like a 7,000 point spread, it's like 7,000 cents on Bitcoin, which is not nearly as much as it looks like. But it is actually a little bit big right now. And Bitcoin will likely tighten down once 9:30 hits and the New York market opens. But what I'm looking for here is that I actually like what Bitcoin's doing now, where it wicked below a previous low, and it's starting to kind of pick itself back up. And on the daily, however, I was actually looking for more of a downward move, and I'd like to see this box get filled. I'd like to see a fill of this fair value gap here. This is ideally where I want to see Bitcoin come down and react off of this fair value gap, because this fair value gap was created. So when we made our low at lower high, lower low, then we gapped up through this lower high and made a first higher high. So coming back to fill this gap, I think would be a very, very beneficial thing for Bitcoin. Unfortunately, though, there also was a double top, which would have made this be a pretty good shorting opportunity here off of this rejection, but I wasn't trading at the time. So we're going to take a look here. If it doesn't hit it and it starts to reverse, then you want to start looking for, or what I start looking for, if it doesn't make to the fair value gap and starts to reverse anyway, I want to look for other tokens that did. I want to look for tokens that did see some what's called SMT divergence. So if you see here, AVAX broke the swing low from back in April. AVAX has broken that swing low today. So with that being said, if the market starts to turn up, you have an SMT divergence between AVAX and Bitcoin, because Bitcoin did not break the swing low from back in April. It's not even close to it. Actually, AVAX had a swing low, or Bitcoin had a swing low in May, but it still stands the reason it didn't break a swing low. So that would be an SMT divergence, and Bitcoin and AVAX will likely be ready to rise if it starts to flip. ADA right now, I think the spread's too big to trade ADA. That's when the daily chart is larger than the entire daily candle. It's over 2.5% spread, so can't trade that. ADA's out, AVAX is in, BAT is in, and Bitcoin is in as of right now. I think XRP is probably tradable. Yeah, XRP would be tradable, but I'm not liking the way the chart looks on XRP right now. I don't have a good standing on where I'm looking for bullish or bearish. It's just kind of still in this consolidation range. I'm still looking at this area here, and if you wanted to make it be more of a diagonal, something like this, make it be that, and you could trade it as a breakout eventually if it does break this diagonal. I don't like trading diagonals. I don't like trading breakouts on the diagonal lines because they're pretty arbitrary. You can kind of put them anywhere you want them to make them fit your chart and how you want them to look, and then it might look really good, but it doesn't mean that that area is actually significant. If it breaks here and you're like, hey, I got a breakout here, well, you got your double tops here and you got another previous high here. So if you don't break 55.6 or really break 56.9, if you don't break these two levels, then you really haven't broken anything out yet. You're just still in this rectangular, you're still in this range area. So that's why I don't like trading diagonal line breakouts. Some people do, and they do it very successfully. I'm not knocking it. I just don't particularly like to do it. So what I may do is I might start to remove some of these that are just always high spreads, or just keep my favorites. What's the ETH spread looking like? All right, ETH is a very low spread. ETH could be traded here. Oh man, and ETH looks good off of a couple days ago. Let me see how it looks on the hourly chart. This might be one to get into a little bit deeper. Okay, on the hourly, yeah. It just filled a fair value gap. Now see, I missed this earlier, but we might be able to get an entry here. Hourly filled this gap. And you see lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, now higher high. We start making higher highs, and I'm going to say that this fib retrace is probably going to be a pretty solid retrace to the 50% mark. Look at that. Yeah, got back to the 50, held on the 50, now starting to come back. So if I was in a few hours ago, this would have been a very good entry for me, and it might still be. likely will still be a very good entry point. I'd like to see a little bit of a pullback before I enter here. So ETH is going to be one that I look at. So let me favorite all these, and I'm just going to keep my favorites. Add to favorites. So I'm just going to keep the ones that have good liquidity. Is Tron really? No, it doesn't look like it's a big spread, but for Tron's value, it's a pretty big spread. Add this to favorites and add bat to favorites. Okay, so now I've got 5 pairs, and 5 pairs is plenty to trade. That's actually probably more than what you should be trading. If you're just getting started, you should probably want to limit that to 1 or 2 pairs, to be quite honest with you. And here on the hourly, you see AVAX spread's actually starting to rise a little bit more than I like. You see, there's a lot of alts that are just hit a low from a couple months ago, and they're fighting that low. So Mondays are tough for me to trade. I don't like trading Mondays because I feel like Monday will always have this kind of Judas swing going on with it, and I'll show you what I mean. So Monday, to me, on a daily chart is always, or on a weekly chart, is always going to be like, we get on here to a week. So the Monday of a weekly chart is always going to be the opposite of what the actual move is. So today the price has gone down. If it's open, low, high, close, Monday is going to be your low. Tuesday is going to start coming back up towards, or might peak your low, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is going to move the price up in that upward direction. So typically I don't trade Mondays, just because it's going to typically be a move on the opposite side of where you want to be. Now granted, it could be a good entry if you're looking to blind enter into a position where if the price was going up on Monday and you want to short, that would be a good spot to get in your short. If it's going down on Monday and it kind of bottoms, you can see a reversal on Monday, then you could enter your long. But typically Mondays are going to be a false move. So let me get back on Bitcoin. I would have loved to see the that fair value gap get hit, but I'm going to keep an eye on Bitcoin on the hourly, see if we break anything. I'm going to keep an eye on, essentially today, Bitcoin and ETH are going to be my pairs I'd look at, because ETH already looks like it's making a very, very strong move. And Bitcoin would be making a good one. It's got to break this high, or it's got to break this low to make this the new swing high. So it'd be really good if it breaks this low, dips into the fair value gap, and then comes up. If it dips into the fair value gap and gives me any type of a candlestick pattern of a bullish engulfing, a hammer, a morning star, anything along those lines where I can get a good entry off of the fair value gap, then that's where I'm going to look to enter on Bitcoin. It looks like Ethereum has already done so. And again, it hit the fair value gap. It made a hammer on the fair value gap. So if you're entering blind on this gap and you just have an entry, so the way you would trade this, if you were just looking for an entry, you would put your entry price right here, your limit order at the start of the fair value gap, and you set your stop loss just a few points below the wick of the first candle that starts the fair value gap. So then at that point you can take profit to be the next swing, or the previous swing high, and looking, you're at 5.8 to 1 risk to reward ratio, and you might not get that whole thing, but you can scale out. And maybe you say this area here, let's say this could be a resistance. If it starts to look like it's going to flip here, get out here. But these would be the two levels I'd look for to be at least 80% out of this trade. And if I'm 80% out of this trade at this time, maybe let the rest ride and see if it just goes up and makes a break on a longer scale, or a larger scale breakout. And again, even here on a diagonal, it's got a positive look here where you have break of the diagonal, retest. And that retest just happens to coincide with the fair value gap. So that's actually a really good look, again, to be bullish on this. So if I was up and awake at 6 a.m. or trading at 6 a.m., that would have been a great entry. I prefer to wait until there's a little bit more liquidity in the market. I prefer to wait till about 9:30, but that's not always going to be possible. Your entry, sometimes you'll miss an entry, and you just go wait for the next opportunity. What I want to do is I want to set a line here. And can I put an alarm? I don't know if I can put an alarm here on. Okay, no. Funder Pro or TradeLocker does not have alarm setups for their lines. So it looks like everything is starting to make a move to the upside. Well, almost everything. It looks like XRP is actually rejecting again. That's the other thing with XRP. Typically, like, it follows Bitcoin, it follows the rest of the market, but it kind of does its own thing. It falls whenever it wants to fall, and it gets a little baby 2 or 3% pumps, and then just falls again. It's extremely frustrating to trade this, or to be an owner, to actually own XRP. It's got to be mind-numbingly frustrating at this point because it's been at 50 cents for 7 years. So when you want to use this, if we're at market right here, if you want to actually buy ETH, I want to go through a buy. You would set your risk. So my risk would be for 1%, I'd risk $50. And I have to draft my stop loss down here. And then you see I'd have 0.09 lots with a $1,500 margin, and I could go ahead and buy there. That was my stop loss. Or I could put it here, and I'd be buying 0.11 lots with the same stop loss at $50. So my stop loss risk is going to be $50 no matter where I place it. So that's how you set. So you set how much you're willing to lose, and then you set your stop loss position in the area that you want your stop loss to be, and that will automatically adjust. It will automatically size your position for you. So this is very intuitive, very easy to use. Now I prefer to do this with a pending order. So my pending order, and I say I want to see if it gets back below and test this wick. Let's just say I want to see if the price gets back to here, and I want to put my stop loss here at the bottom. Now at 50 risk, my lots would be a 0.11 with the stop loss here, my entry here, and I could actually hit a take profit. Say if I take profit here, I'm making $92 off of 50. If I take profit here, I'm making 150 off of 50. So just wanted to show you that, show you how these, how easy it is to use TradeLocker. The software is fantastic for setting up your entries and exits, and being able to manage your risk. So again, here risk is 1% of account balance. If I do 100, that's a 2% risk, and that's double the amount of lots and the size. So now I'd be making 195 here and 323 here. So for this, I need to make 14% total. Again, and there's no time limit on this on Funder Pro. There's no time limit for the trading. You just got to make sure you never lose more than 4% in one day, and don't have a max drawdown over 7%, I believe, or 8%. It depends on which you use, which trading method you use when you sign up. You can do swing, you can do standard, or you can do the like express, which is only one challenge phase. So again, with Bitcoin only hourly, I'm not willing to make a move here yet until either it breaks above this high and I get a fair value gap to come back and test, or it breaks below this low, it gets into the fair value gap here on the daily time frame fair value gap. If it breaks that, comes down and hits this, then I can enter and scale myself in. And even on a trading account, I can scale myself in enough to where I can put buys in here, buys in here, buys in here, and maybe do a 0.5% at a time. And then that will allow me to kind of get buys in. Even if it does fill this entire gap, I can get buys in here throughout the entirety of this gap. I don't think it will. I think it's going to hit it and then react off of it pretty quickly, honestly. I think the market's just waiting for crypto anyway. I think they're just waiting for any type of positive momentum. So here, while the market has been down, I don't think I short in this position. I'm not looking for shorts at all, because the overall, the broader, again, still back to the daily, we're still in a bullish pattern. We even still had kind of a, if you like flags and stuff like that, you have your flag pattern breakout, and this could just be a retest of the flag, something along this lines. We're retesting here, retest again, and then blast out. So whatever you like to use, use your trading method, but do it consistently. And whatever you do, use that method, and use that method only. Don't bounce between methods, because that's going to be the biggest way that you lose. And the easiest way for you to lose is to keep bouncing back and forth between methods, because you get on a losing streak on your method. Test your method, test your edge. If you can win 50% with a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, you will be profitable. Guaranteed. If you win 50% and you're making double what you lose, you will be profitable. Even if you have a 3 or 4 trade losing streak, you just have to make sure you manage your risk to account for that. That's all you have to do. And streaks are going to happen. You're going to be on the wrong side of the market more than once. So here, I'm really waiting to 9:30. You got 5 minutes left, and I want to see what happens. Again, AVAX is below. It did swing below this low here, set in April. Now, one of the things I like to trade, I use ICT concepts, and a lot of times I just use the 2022 entry model. But what I also like to see is called a power of 3. And it could be what we're seeing here, is that we've got this consolidation period. We had a fake break to the upside, comes all the way down to the bottom. If it fake breaks to the bottom, then we would run all the way back up, and it should be the break back into bullish territory. But again, I'm working into multiple different models, and really what I'm looking for is just a 2022 entry model. And we have our actual fair value gap for the daily chart here, which has already been tested multiple times. So we'll see if it holds again, and if not, we could potentially, just so we know where we're at, we could potentially see AVAX swing down as low as like $23 to fill this gap. There's multiple gaps here that could be filled. So we got one here and one here. So we'll see what the price does. It could be a bloody Monday, and I'm going to take a look on my phone to see what the overall U.S. markets are doing. The indices. It looks like the U.S. 30 Dow Jones is down about 70 points pre-market, 68. S&P is down 3 points, and the Nasdaq is up 1. So relatively flat in the traditional markets today. Forex pretty flat on the euro and GBP, or yeah, euro and Great British Pound, and gold and silver are both down slightly. So everything is flat or slightly down. So while streaming this, there may not be an actual trade to be made, but hopefully once I can actually go live on this and have some interactions with you guys, I can break down questions that you may have. This would be a great opportunity to ask questions or for me to answer questions. And as a video, this video may suck because I'm just kind of talking off the cuff, like I said, because I want it to be as close to live as possible. But this is what I'm hoping for on a live stream, is to get people in, get other people's thoughts and opinions, show them my trading strategies. Let's see if they work. Let's see if we get some profitability out of it. Let's see if we can get, past some funding accounts, and then, let's get other people funded. Let's get other people making money easily, on other people's dimes. And here comes the opening. So you see these spreads are flipping around like crazy for Bitcoin because at 9:30 the market just opened. So that means that now what happens at 9:30? The ETF starts trading. You start getting the market moves. So even though the market's not moving much, the spread is moving. So you start seeing the amount of money flowing in is changing, and it's going to take a little bit of time to have the spread kind of react to that. So let's go down to the 15-minute chart, because we should be starting a fresh 15-minute here. Yeah, so 15-minute, starting to get some downward pressure. And this is also why a lot of times I don't like to buy prior or on pre-market. Not only do the spreads change, and you see ETH spread has come down significantly, or at least it's still volatile right now, but it had come down. I think it was up around 300 points. But ETH is coming down. We might get another entry here. We might get another opportunity to enter this market if we get a test of this fair value gap. And you can, again, I typically don't trade pre-market for that reason, because I wait for the 9:30 entry or 9:30 open for the New York market to see where the volatility goes and where the money flowing in, get the spreads get stabilized and stuff like that. Let this first 15 minutes to half an hour play out and see where we go. I'll probably throw some music in here because it's probably gnarly just listening to my monotone. I would not be a good sportscaster or broadcaster or anything. Just monotonous. I gotta work on that. Sorry guys. Still fresh on this, so again, cut me a break on this one, please. And again, this video will be unedited. You see it in all its glory. Everything is not liking this open. I want to see what XRP did, because XRP tends to be weird. So it rejected off the previous high ahead up here. Didn't quite make it here. Rejected off again. The spread widened on XRP though, which is weird. But looks like we're going to have a rejection. We'll probably come back and test. Wow, we'll probably come back and test 48 cents if this does actually reject. It wouldn't take long to see it. And look, this is coming back to where I wanted it to see it. Like I said, we were in the middle of a range, and we go back and even go back to the hourly. We were kind of in the middle of a ranging area, and I want to see this bottom break or this top break. There's no reason to trade in here in no man's land, not unless you really dive in to the 5-minute or the 1-minute, and you can find smaller ranges like from here to here. you could have a range that breaks out, and you trade whatever. But for this case, for trading on a prop firm with spreads, it's going to be tough. You're not going to go 5-minute charts or 1-minute charts on crypto. It's just not the way you're going to trade. You have to trade on a broader scale. 15 minute is your minimum, and likely stay on hourly, honestly. And then just see you know, what kind of moves you can make, and try to get entries, by Tuesday or Wednesday, and see if you can hold them out. And unfortunately, everything's going to be closed out by Friday. But and you can't hold trades over the weekend on this prop firm, but you can make solid trades, catching the swings of the week. So you see tokens that make 20-30% moves in a week. So even some higher end ones, ETH and XRP and AVAX, even Bitcoin, have made solid 10-20% weeks. So it's not uncommon. You just gotta catch that swing. And right now it looks like Monday's going to swing to the downside. We'll see a low put in, and then we should be looking to trade that swing back up. Now here's another potential for ETH, because there is another fair value gap here. I don't want to hide the fact that there is another one, where if the price really kind of blows the bottom out, we could get down to 34.6 or 34.26. I'm sorry, 34.60 to 34.26 or 25, whatever. But yeah, price is pushing down now. Bitcoin spreads are moving higher, which means there's a lot of volatility right now, which is weird. Everything is just moving wildly for the first, it's going to be like this for the first 15 minutes to half an hour after market opens. By 10, everything should calm down. While there'll still be volatility, it will calm down enough to where you're not getting crazy spread movements. And this is really hard to even get an entry, because you click the entry button and your spread moves by 800 points. It's ridiculous. There's no reason to enter a trade here at all. I'm just watching how big these spreads are moving on, especially on Bitcoin. Excuse me. Now, if I wanted to take and just do a blind entry here, which I'm not going to do yet, but if I wanted to see if this came down, hit this fair value gap again, and just do a blind entry, I'd probably put my stop loss at this swing low point, which would still be a little rough, but then to be able to take profit, up here, especially if this comes back down, my entry comes down here. But I want to see this. I want to see a reaction. I don't want to just hit this on the fair value gap, because the way the price is coming down pretty powerfully, I don't want to just blind enter here. I want to see a reaction off of this. If this candle ends up being like a doji or like a hammer, but even if it's a red hammer, comes back down, test this area again, and pulls off of it, then I'd enter here. But I don't want to just enter blindly while it's coming down, because it could push all the way through here and hit this next one. And then in order to save myself from that, I'd have to put my stop loss out this swing low, and then I'm at a 1-to-1 trade, and there's no point in even doing that. There's no point in making that trade. So if you made it this far and you are 40 minutes into this video, jeez, or almost 40 minutes into this video, let me know what you prefer to trade. What you prefer. Do you trade a particular crypto, or do you just trade breakouts? Do you like look at every chart? I've seen some guys who are really good, and they'll watch 20 to 30 charts per day, waiting for a breakout scenario, waiting for charts to go into consolidation, and then drawing up to get a breakout pattern. Or do you trade one or two charts and just really have a good understanding of how one or two different assets run and how they typically react? Because there are assets that react differently, and there's also just pattern traders. They'll look at 100 charts and trade patterns. So let me know what you are, if you even have if you even have that distinction. But right now, ETH is coming down. Is ETH into the? Okay, it's getting down close. I am so tempted to want to buy this the moment it touches its fair value gap, because I feel like it'll hold, but again, I don't know how far Monday will dip before swinging on Tuesday or Wednesday. So yeah, I didn't draw this initially, this larger fair value gap, primarily because of the Fibonacci retrace. I mean, here you're already at 50%. This goes below the 618, which would still be in your golden pocket between the 50 and the 786. So it's still well within a bullish range. But I figured this one would hold, especially already having had a reaction off of it. I thought that this one would go without getting hit. So, and it may still, but it could actually get hit now, just depending on how hard the market pushes down. And the initial push might be done. Let's see how market opens. So still a lot of flat. The US 30, Dow Jones is down 76.78. Nasdaq's right around even, like 0% change, down 1 point. S&P 500 is down 1 point. So not much of a big move in the way of the traditional markets. Just kind of watching here. AVAX is almost all the way through this fair value gap, and if it gets a reaction to the upside, you get a strong candle, a bullish engulfing or something along those lines. If for some reason I don't make a trade today while I'm on camera, and I do make a trade, around lunchtime or sometime in the afternoon, I will only trade during the New York trading hours. But if it's not while I'm recording, I will put a post up on YouTube to show that trade. So just so you guys are aware, every trade will be seen and will be visible. I want as little as possible off camera, and if it is off camera, it will be also posted on here. So I want to make that clear. I want to be as transparent as possible on that. Let's see. Now you look and you realize that ETH also made kind of a double top here, which could be really more bearish today than I initially thought it would. take a look at Bitcoin and show you on the daily why I'm kind of expecting a down move at the time, but I'm overall bullish because, again, I trade liquidity and I'm looking from external to internal. That's the way I look for liquidity, external to internal. So hitting this high and topping out here again, there's a lot of external liquidity here at the very top, and this is going to be a large bearish order block here. And every time we touch it, we're rejecting off. But this is a bearish order block. This is external liquidity. This is a fair value gap. This is internal liquidity. So move from external to internal, back to external. Ideally going through external now to make a move. Now if this internal doesn't hold, then we'd be looking at this external liquidity on the downside. And external liquidity on the downside would then be interesting because we would finally hit this fair value gap around 53 down to 52K, which would be interesting. It would be very interesting for the markets, and this would stun the markets. This would stun everything, and everything that I've said, everything I've done up to this point with alts and stuff would be out the window because alts would get absolutely hammered. But this would be the next internal liquidity on bullish side. So if you were to go external to internal here, that would be the next area of liquidity for a bullish move to the upside. So just keep that in mind. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for movements from external liquidity to internal liquidity, and I want to make my moves off of the internal liquidity because ideally you should keep going in the same direction. We have a bullish trend. Now while we're sideways right now, the overall trend is bullish. Even here, this is sideways, dips down bullish, sideways, dips down bullish, sideways, dips down bullish. You see, from the lows to the current high. But even on the way down, when we're bearish, we're consolidation, bear, consolidation, bearish, consolidation, bearish. And you can kind of see how that how that has played out depending on which side you're on. So I just wanted to show that as well. And it doesn't look like in this first hour that I'm going to get a look in either direction as far as what I'm looking for to trigger an entry. It doesn't look like I'm going to have enough time to hit this fair value gap or break this swing low and then have a reaction. So I'm going to cut the video here. I've been talking to myself for about 45 minutes now. I'm sure you guys are getting tired of it, but hopefully you got something from this, seeing my my thought process and what I'm looking for a trade. I know I went through a lot of different things. I know I went through a lot of different scenarios, but overall we're looking for moves from external liquidity into internal liquidity, and we're going to make our entries off of the internal liquidity. It's that simple. External liquidity was hit. Find the internal liquidity. It's going to be here or here. Just identifying which one is the right one, and then making a move off of that to go retest the internal or external or break the external. You're either going to pull from it or you're going to take it all. So with that being said, guys, there we go. Bitcoin is starting to make another push downward. What the hell? I'll finish the hour out. I got about 12 minutes. 12 minutes and Bitcoin is starting to make a push down. So let's see what we get. Let's see if we get a break of swing low or into the fair value gap. I like to see one or the other. If it moves back up without either one of these being addressed or any one of these being tested, I'm really kind of out of the market for the day. I don't like Again, I don't like trading within a range that hasn't had its range or its bounds tested. 65, 130, 140. Ideally, this thing hits that swing low and has a strong reaction, and that's our entry. Let's see if we get it. Starting to see a little bit of a downward pressure on the NASDAQ, dropping down about 40 points since the last time I checked it. That might be what's causing the Bitcoin to fall a little bit. ETH is back into that fair value gap range. Yeah, so ETH is back in the fair value range. So that's interesting. AVAX is probably going through. No, not quite all the way through, but it's gone a good bit down. It's going to test the bottom of the range. And what about XRP? XRP is still hanging out at the top of the range, but I mean, all things considered, it should come back down and at least touch 48. Maybe all the way down to 46, but there's very little areas of liquidity. Like there's a little pocket here that we could test. A little pocket of liquidity there. A little one here that wasn't tested or wasn't taken. So we'll see. So if we tap back in, let's see if we start getting a reaction off. What does Bitcoin do? Down. NASDAQ still sitting about negative 35. ETH gonna push through this. And this is why you don't jump in, and buy here. Because then you're going to set your stop loss here and you're probably going to be out within a couple hours. Like this will likely run this low and sweep this low. Let's see if we run this low. Bitcoin is going to see, if Bitcoin sees 64K, it's close. 64,946 is going to be the swing low point that was hit about 1 p.m. on the 14th. Let's see if we get it. Now again, I don't like to trade blind, and I don't want to be overconfident with this. I don't want to teach the wrong way either. Not really teach, but I just don't want to show bad habits. So I'm gonna wait for confirmations on things. Like I would have loved to have entered here. I don't know if it's gonna hold or not though. But I would have loved to have entered right here in this middle of this fair value gap. But I want to make sure I have some type of confirmation. Nasdaq's picking back up a little bit. It's down 22 points. Down was down 37. So again, um, as much as people don't want to admit it, there is correlation between traditional markets and the crypto market. So it's foolish not to at least have an idea or to know what's going on with traditional markets, especially the tech sector. Like a lot of crypto companies, a lot of tokens are essentially they're just tech company startups. So they're just really high. They're the highest risk of the tech sector. That's just what it is. We got 5 more minutes in this hour. This was a pretty gnarly hour. So we lost almost 1% on ETH. Now I would also be looking for some SMT divergence here. You see AVAX did break that wick low. ETH did not yet anyway, and then there it goes. So, or no, it's not quite there yet, but if it does, then the divergence is gone. I just realized too, there's a little bit of a volume imbalance here at this level. This could be, I just realized that this little volume imbalance could be needing to fill the gap between close of this candle and open of this candle. Say volume imbalance, there was no pricing in that area. Oof. There we go. It was an interesting little push down from Ethereum, considering nothing else really pushed down that hard. That was almost Ethereum only. Maybe just literally just getting that volume imbalance. So it took out liquidity. So, when it pushed down, it broke this point, it probably just spun all the way down because there was a lot of stop losses here. A lot of people bought in and had their stop losses right here at this wick low. So as soon as this wick low got hit, the price immediately dropped down. If you go to like the 1 minute chart, I bet it was, yeah, the moment this broke, it went all the way down and then came back up. So that was a stop loss hunt, and I'd be willing to start putting buy orders in on Ethereum here. Market risk, I'm gonna put a buy order in here. It's $50. Stop loss down here. Alright. I had to bring my stop loss down enough to where I had enough margin to cover the order size. So I'm gonna take a look at my order. Add a take profit to it. I take profit up here. That'd be 228 to 50, so it's a little bit better than 4 to 1, so 4.5 percentage, 4.5 to 1. Confirm. All right, so we did get an order in, we did get a trade in, and again, that volume imbalance was there. sweeping this low and taking this sweep of this low, seeing the immediate buy back up off of that looked to me like it was just a taking of the stop losses, a stop loss hunt. And you can really see that on the 1 minute chart where you have it just be a wick down and then right back up, bought right back up there. Now I'm still a little low on where I bought, or I'm a little off of my entry, but again, I'm in a position where I am running 15-minute candles as my lowest time frame. So my position is going to be from here. Put this back on 15. From here to here. So that's what I'm looking for. 4.6 to 1. 0.6% loss potential, so that would be actually measured at 1% with a 4.6% gain potential. Let's see what it do. So that's the entry. Glad I got this in. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It took forever to get a trade, but I do believe I found what I was looking for. This was the droid I was looking for. Long on ETH today. Let's see if it do what I think it's going to do. I appreciate you guys for watching. As always, until next time, peace.